Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fight Forever podcast, a new podcast about all things professional wrestling. We cover both of AEW's weekly shows, and we discuss New Japan and WWE as well, as other wrestling promotions, albeit in a lot less detail. Several episodes get posted every week. We'll discuss current affairs in professional wrestling, and we'll go in depth regarding shows, matches, and storylines. If there's a pay-per-view or a special event, we'll talk about those as well. Without further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael Gaffney, or just Gaff, and I'm the host. This podcast is recorded in one take, or as close to one take as you can get, minus some tiny edits, to preserve the authenticity of what I'm saying, and so it feels like a conversation. We are on social media, so head over to twitter.com/fightforeverpod and give us a tweet. We'll respond to your tweets on the show. And now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. So WWE's Money in the Bank was this past Saturday, not Sunday, Saturday. And it was a good show overall. I did enjoy it. I watched it while I was working. And the the premium live event, the PLE, kicked off with the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which I'm not going to be mean here because I don't think the match was terrible. There was a lot of mistakes in this match, and particularly we're going to talk about one person, well, two people. The first person we're going to talk about is Shotzi. So Shotzi made a lot of mistakes in this match, her in particular, and the match was full of mistakes by everybody, but Shotzi in particular, it was botch city for her. And the thing about a Money in the Bank ladder match is it's a ladder match, it's unpredictable and things go wrong. But with Shotzi, there was one point in the match that she was going for a senton off the top rope, and I presume she was either supposed to land back first on the ladder, or she was supposed to completely miss the ladder. But instead, she landed perfectly on the back of her head, right against the edge of the ladder. And she was pumping blood. Now, because of this spot in particular, she got a lot of stick on Twitter. And she unfortunately had to disable her Twitter account today, apparently. So she essentially told people to fuck off and suck her hairy mangoes, is exactly what she said. But I will read out her statement right here. Just 1 second now. I had it and I've lost it. So she said, apologies. Every article I've opened is linking me to the tweet that is now gone. Okay, she said, but I'm not a nope. There are 3 things that I care about at the end of a match. Is everyone safe? Did everyone have fun? Did the crowd react? Nobody got hurt. We all had a blast, and the Vegas crowd was hot. I felt on top of the world after that match and was so excited to finally have my first hardcore match in over a year. I wouldn't have done anything I didn't practice or thought I could do safely. But I'm not a wrestle robot. I'm a human and missteps happen, especially in a chaotic, unpredictable ladder match. I can take a joke and laugh at myself. One of the first things I said was, I can't wait to see that spot on Botchamania. But comments like, you should be fired, and other terrible things admittedly hit hard. I had to have a few friends wipe the tears off my face and slap some sense into me and remind me who the F I am. That being said, all haters can suck my big giant hair mangoes, is what she said. And it's unfortunate that she's getting this abuse. This is the problem with social media. I don't think her botches were that bad, to be honest. It did not really ruin the match per se. It just highlighted how things can go wrong in that kind of environment. Unfortunately with Shotzi, she did say in this that Nobody got hurt. She got hurt. She meant nobody else got hurt. She did get hurt, and the fear was that she got a concussion because she did seem a bit out of it after the spot with her head hitting the ladder, which was incredibly unsafe. But that was an accident. It happens. It's professional wrestling, and she seems to be okay, thank God. But unfortunately with Shotzi, she is known for being quite good in ladder matches. In NXT, they kept putting her into ladder matches because she was good in them. So I'm not sure what happened here, but I'm glad to see she's okay. Now, Liv Morgan in that match won the Money in the Bank. I think that makes the most sense considering the direction WWE is going in. I think it was the right call. She does deserve it. She does deserve it, and she can be a huge star for WWE. She has the look, she has the athleticism, she's able to speak, she has the passion. She's a huge WWE fan. And I think that WWE are going to push her into the spot that is going to be left open by Sasha/Naomi. And I'm not saying that in any confirmed way or in any controversial way. What I'm saying is there is a spot for a main eventer there, because you have Becky Lynch, you have Asuka, you have Charlotte Flair, and you have Ronda Rousey. And having 4 main eventers, and one of them currently off TV, one of them not really in the main event, and one of them recently back from a long layoff, means that there is a spot there for Liv Morgan. Next match, Theory lost the US title to Lashley, and as soon as this happened, I was like, what are they doing with Theory? What are they doing with Theory? Why did they have him win the title just to drop it a month and a half later or 2 months later? Doesn't make any sense to me. So the next match, because we'll go more into Theory in a minute. The next match was the Street Profits versus the Usos. They put on the best tag match in WWE that I can remember. It was awesome. They got the fans out of the match. The fans did not care for a period because the Usos were dominating so much and were garnering so much heat. And Angelo Dawkins could not get the tag on Montez Ford. And eventually he did get the hot tag. And then immediately they shut it down again and the Usos got control back again. So the crowd were annoyed and pissed off and there was heat building. And then they got the hot tag. And then the Usos shut it down again, which made the heat intensify. So the heat was ridiculous. So by the time Montez Ford got the hot tag on Angelo Dawkins, this place erupted, and it was a fantastic match. It was a very good match. WWE gave it time, which I'm surprised they did, and unfortunately it ended with an angle. So they did an angle where the Street Profits lost, but Montez Ford's shoulder was up because the ref is apparently incredibly incompetent, because it wasn't subtle. The ref just didn't do their job. So what I'd imagine that they're going to try and build on is the Usos couldn't beat the Street Profits clean here, and I'm gonna put out a bold prediction and say that the Street Profits are going to win the titles at SummerSlam, because I think at this stage Roman Reigns is not on TV, and I don't know if he's going to be on TV post SummerSlam. To be honest with you, it doesn't seem like he's going to be on TV post SummerSlam. So, if I had to guess, I think the Bloodline are going to lose all of the titles at SummerSlam. I don't have any basis for that besides my own opinion, but it does scream that way. So Ronda Rousey beats Natalya in a good submission style match, which is very rare in WWE that you have a submission style match like that. And my God, Liv Morgan comes out and cashes in her Money in the Bank on an injured Ronda Rousey who can barely stand. And Ronda Rousey immediately gets the better of her, and you're like, oh shit, they're gonna have Liv lose. But nope, Liv Morgan is able to kick her in the knee and roll her up, and she wins. And it was a great moment. It was thoroughly deserved. Everyone was super happy for her. Everybody across multiple promotions were happy for her. And it crosses your mind, what bullshit is happening later? Because if they're doing this now, something bad is ending the show. Next match is the men's Money in the Bank. The next match we're going to cover is the men's Money in the Bank, I should say. Adam Pearce comes out and adds Theory to the men's Money in the Bank. And there it is. That's the bad thing. I didn't see this coming. I didn't know what they were going to do. I didn't know who they were going to have win. Once Liv Morgan won the title, I didn't know what WWE were going to do. I didn't know if they were going to have Omos win. I didn't know if they were even going to do an angle. I presume they were going to do something bad to end the show if they're having this feel-good moment. Because you can predict on a WWE show, if they have a very, very good moment mid-show, it means that a heel is going over at the end, usually. So, Adam Pearce comes out and adds Theory to this match. Oh god. So, it's a good Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank ladder match, but Omos kills the crowd. Fucking constantly. He is putting these people to sleep. I'm in work and he's putting me to sleep. He is falling off of 2 rungs of a ladder. So Drew McIntyre and someone else pushes over the ladder. And he falls off. It's 2 rungs up. 2 steps. And he sells it. He sells it like he's hurt. Like that shocked him. So eventually, they kill him on the outside. And they pile ladders on top of him. He is buried in ladders. And eventually, the crowd gets into the match. Omos is not in the match. The crowd get very into the match. There's high spots. There's good stuff happening. And then he returns, and the crowd dies again. And then they kill him again by everybody lifting him up in a big senton press and throwing him through the announce table. And now Omos is officially dead. So every time that Theory climbs the ladder during this match, the announcers have to scream, "Oh, look at sneaky Theory! Look at Theory being sneaky!" But Drew McIntyre would do the exact same thing, and they would call him determined and focused. It's literally the objective of the match. Anyway, Theory wins, and this place is not happy. They are not happy at all. So I like Theory. I think he's a good and cocky heel, but he isn't a very good wrestler. And if this all sounds familiar, people said this about John Cena in 2003 and 2004, but Cena got over by being an incredibly good character and talker and having good matches. Even if he wasn't the best wrestler, he was having good matches. So Theory needs to have good matches and be established stars in order to be taken seriously. The heat he got was not good heel heat. If this is not what we want heat. And when that happens, you'll get a repeat of what happened to Roman Reigns for years, which is fans knowing what WWE are trying to do, and they're vocal about it, and they reject the guy. So Theory barely wins. He's not a good wrestler, and he's good on the mic, and he's good at getting heat, and that's all well and good, and I like Theory, but there are so many guys on the roster that are better for this spot, but they're determined to push Theory to the top because he's young, has a good physique, and can talk. And once again, I like his heel work. He just needs to have okay matches now. If he has okay matches, people are not going to be angry with the fact that he's being pushed down their throats. So Raw was last night. And I'm not really going to discuss this in any detail because nothing of note really happened. But just there's two things that happened. So Roman Reigns was announced for SmackDown. He's needed, to be honest. Theory announced he's against Lashley for the US title at SummerSlam, which I don't understand why they're doing this, because here's the thing. They're going to push that Theory's going to cash this in at SummerSlam. That's the narrative they're going to push on television. It is not time for Theory to win this title, in my opinion. He is too inexperienced for this top spot. But not only is he too inexperienced, he's not credible. Even if you say, look, he's experienced enough, he's been on the roster a long time, which he hasn't, but if you wanted to say that, he's not credible enough. He needs to beat the Cenas. He needs to beat established stars like Drew McIntyre. Even if it's by cheating, he needs to beat these stars to be credible. And he's not credible. Moving on. So, WWE. There was a huge report that just came out from the Wrestling Observer and Dave Meltzer, essentially saying that WWE is more than happy with how the product is going and that their revenue is sky high, which means that nothing is changing. So the brand is well and truly alive. Their ticket sales are going very well. They sold out Money in the Bank. Their merchandise sales are outrageous right now. Their ratings are phenomenal right now. They're doing monster numbers, so I'm not sure what's happening, but things are going their way. And you will see articles from like news outlets and such, and from the dirt sheets, and from channels like WrestleMania, which I watch. I like WrestleMania. But they will say that WWE is struggling to sell tickets. WWE has an established pattern of how they sell tickets, which is they don't sell out until just before the show. So if you see that ticket sales are bad, that doesn't necessarily mean that ticket sales are actually bad. With Money in the Bank, though, they did have to move it from an arena from a stadium to an arena, so you could argue that that was a failure, but they seem to be doing monster numbers regardless. So considering there's an upcoming recession post-pandemic and inflation, WWE are doing phenomenal business, so let's see how long it lasts. And finally, we have the Dynamite Preview. So, Dynamite is live tomorrow, and they have a couple of very good matches happening. So, they're going to have Christian Cage and Luchasaurus live, is what they say. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus live. So I presume that Luchasaurus is going to absolutely destroy somebody again. They have the Butcher and the Blade versus Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. They have Thunderstorm. #Thunderstorm. So it looks like Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm are officially a tag team versus Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir. There is a street fight for the TNT title, which is Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow. And I actually have a note to say about this. I found the segment that they had to set this match up last week so fucking funny. So funny. So they're backstage, they're with Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone states that neither men are going to get physical. Wardlow starts talking, Scorpio Sky starts talking, but Wardlow says, I will go through all of American Top Team to get to you and to get a title shot. The usual thing that Wardlow does, which is go through a mountain of people before he gets what he wants. And Scorpio Sky's reaction was, oh yeah, you're going to go through American Top Team? No, you will face me for the TNT title next week instead. And Wardlow is just there like, okay. And Scorpio Sky is talking big and saying that, oh, of course you'll say this when there's no physicality. And Wardlow starts taking the shirt off. The segment made no sense. Basically, it was like oh, I will go through all of American Top Team. And Scorpio Sky is like, no need, I'll fight you next week. And then is like, of course you're going to say that you'll go through American Top Team when there's a no physicality rule. And Wardlow was like, I will fight you now. What? it made no sense. So that's for the TNT title tomorrow night. And then we have the AEW Interim World Title match, which is Jon Moxley versus Brody King. And I think this match is going to be very interesting because I don't think we've seen Moxley versus somebody the size of Brody King in a very long time. I don't even think it's happened on AEW television. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's going to be a very interesting matchup. And look, obviously Moxley's going to win. We all know Moxley's going to win. They haven't hyped up Brody King at all. They haven't hyped up the House of Black at all, pardon me. So Moxley's going to win, but it should be a fun match. And finally, the last segment of today's show, we're going to talk about the injuries. So AEW have a lot of injuries. Now WWE do as well, but they're not as bad as AEW's. And WWE are missing established stars, don't get me wrong. They're missing Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, just to name two huge stars. But here is the injury list. So this is the injury list between AEW and WWE. So AEW have a longer injury list. So let's start with WWE's. So they have Ridge Holland. They have Rhea Ripley, who we do not know when she is coming back. We have no idea. It is a brain and teeth injury, apparently. So Cody Rhodes has a torn pec. Randy Orton is apparently going for back surgery. Shelton Benjamin is off television. Charlotte Flair is off television. Io Shirai is leaving the company. Rick Boogs tore his quad at WrestleMania. Big E broke his neck. And Bayley is apparently coming back soon. But you have a couple of big main event stars there with some pretty severe injuries. But AEW's list is incredible. So there are more to this list. Like there are some wrestlers here who will be on AEW Dark or Elevation. I'm going to skip over them. So we have Santana, who got injured during Blood and Guts. We got Adam Cole, who got injured at Forbidden Door in the IWGP title match. We have Jungle Boy, who was written off in a storyline, but also is actually injured. We have Kyle O'Reilly, who today was talking about his health and basically said that this is way more serious than he thought, and he will share more when he has an answer. So hopefully he's okay. Matt Hardy has a knee injury. Buddy Matthews has a shoulder injury. Scorpio Sky has a knee injury, but is apparently okay to wrestle. CM Punk has a lower leg injury, which is a broken foot, and he underwent surgery last month. Jeff Hardy does have several injuries, but obviously has issues with court and issues with substance abuse and is in rehab. Sting is apparently cleared to wrestle. He wrestled at Forbidden Door, which is good. Hikaru Shida is injured. Lee Johnson is injured. Layla Hirsch is injured. Darius Martin's injured. Anthony Bowens is apparently still injured. So there was an angle last week on was it Rampage or Dynamite? I think it was Rampage. I don't actually remember. There was an angle last week anyway where he got out of his wheelchair. Apparently he's still injured. He's not fully cleared yet. Then we have Kenny Omega is the other big one, who apparently is going to be returning soon. So the rumor for Kenny Omega was he was going to be out for 9 months. This is month number 9. So we might see Kenny Omega back soon. So there are more on that list. Like, for example, Bobby Fish is apparently injured, but is supposed to be coming back soon, and I presume that I'm after missing a couple of people as well, because this list has not been updated in the last week. So this is obviously a huge problem for AEW in particular. WWE have a couple of big high profile injuries, but for the most part can get by just fine. When it comes to AEW, who have a stacked roster, they'll obviously get by just fine, but there are some significant ones. Also, I just realized on this list isn't Bryan Danielson, who is out for a significant amount of time apparently and cannot wrestle for the next couple of months, which I presume is to do with concussions. So he is also not available to compete. So this list, AEW's injuries are a huge problem for them, and they need to get to grips with what is going on here, because this is the first crisis the company has really had in terms of talent getting injured. But this is a huge problem. I don't know if it's because of the reduced schedule or if it's because of the style of wrestling and how much more aggressive the style of wrestling actually is that's doing this. But these injuries are pretty severe. A lot of these injuries as well, there's a lot of head related injuries, which is obviously not good. But there are also a lot of knee and shoulder injuries, which when it comes to wrestling is going to happen, of course. But AEW need to get to grips with this, because this is becoming a problem. It takes one more high profile injury for them to be hitting the mainstream in terms of this is an unsafe place to work. So they need to get to grips with this. We will go more in depth with this later this week, and hopefully I can get a guest on the show to talk to me about it. But if I can't, it would just be me solo. And the next show we will have will be post Dynamite. So we'll talk about AEW Dynamite, and we'll talk about the injury crisis as well. And we'll also preview SmackDown, because Roman Reigns is coming back. It's coming up to SummerSlam. It's a big show. So that's it for today's show. Remember that we are over on social media at Fight Forever Pod. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. Tweet us if you want, and we'll feature the tweets on the show. So that's all for today's show. I will see you later this week post Dynamite, and we'll have a discussion about those injuries. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.